With Eagles football closing in, let's talk about the running back situation. We got 6 on the roster, but in Duce Staley's press conference, he only mentioned 5. So today, we're going to break down all 5 of the guys that Duce mentioned. What is going on, everybody? For those who don't know, I go by Philly Mike, and this is the Philly Talk Podcast. If you are new, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Now, if you're excited with football coming and are ready to talk about this running back room who is underrated in the NFL, smash that like button. With all that being said, let's jump right into it. So last week, Duce Staley came out and talked about the running back room, and he said these guys are young, but he loves where they're at. He came out and pretty much talked about Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Corey Clement, Adrian Killins, and Michael Warren, but he did leave out Elijah Holyfield. Now, I don't believe he got cut because I think I would have heard about that, but that could be a sign that he's not going to be in the Eagles' future. So still, 5 running backs. We're not going into the season with 5 running backs. I believe we're going to go into the season with 4 at the most. So one of these guys will not be on the depth chart when it comes to running back. And I think we kind of know who it is, but we still want to keep that guy on the roster some way, shape, or form because like Duce said, he's explosive. But let's get into it. We're going to start with our number 1 running back, a guy who in next year's offseason we'll be talking about in the top 10, maybe closing in on the top 5, a guy who really flashed all through the second half of last year. I'm so excited for this guy. But before I let you hear what Duce Staley said, let's take a listen to Miles Sanders himself.
Hey, man. Shout out to my boy Philly Mike at the Philly Talk Podcast. All this work I've been doing this offseason has been real good, man. I'm focused, feel good, feel great, still feel fast, feel big, stronger, smarter, just ready to show out for year 2, man. And lastly, the goal for 2020 is obviously to get to that Super Bowl, man. And that's the only goal I got in mind. So thanks, man. Shout out to you, bro.
I'm excited about Miles. I'm excited about him handling the full load. I don't see Miles as a guy that you have to monitor his touches. 15 here, maybe 15 rushes, 5 passes. No, I don't see him that way. I think you put him in and you let him go. I don't think you have to be careful with him because he's one of the guys that is hard to get a hit on. I think you got to be careful with the guys that can't make people miss. So if you put a big workload on those type of guys, this is a violent league, and injuries we know can happen at any time. But if you got a guy that can make people miss and that's kind of special, like Miles, the injury, it goes down a little bit. The percentage goes down. So I think he can go out there and he can handle that part of it. He showed last year. He flashed last year. He worked hard. He got to know the offense. You saw a kid get better every week.
There you go. Duce Staley was blunt when it comes to Miles Sanders. This guy can handle the full load. He's the same weight and height as LaShawn McCoy. So I do believe he can get 20-plus carries. Now, we don't have to do that all the time if it's not needed, but I like a running back to get in his groove and get going and not really use a committee. Now, I will say this. In 2017, when we did the committee with Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount, and Corey Clement, I got to give props to Duce Staley. He ran that perfectly. He put each guy in when they needed to be in. You couldn't have changed it or made it any better. I mean, he used Blount, Jay Ajayi, and Corey Clement and made these guys pop. LeGarrette Blount was at the end of his career. Jay Ajayi's knees were about to go. And Corey Clement, he was special that year, but we seen the injuries leading after it. I'm saying the scenarios and the positions that Duce put him in, putting him on this player, this player, this play, and saying, why does he keep switching them? He did it perfect in 17. But I like that Duce is possibly leaning to, it's the Miles Sanders show. However, injuries have been the Achilles heel for the Philadelphia Eagles, so we don't want to push him too far. But there's going to be games where I expect to see Miles Sanders with 22 rushes, 25 rushes, maybe at the highest peak of 27 rush. That don't got to come every game. Next week, he might get an 18-piece because it depends on the game, and that's why the coaches have to adjust. We play as we need to. But let's talk about the number 2 running back, Boston Scott.
We called him Little Big Man. You know, he's small, but he runs big. He has that quick twitch. He can make people miss, or he can actually run past you. So, and his hands are good. We saw that in Boston. He was able to come out here and go against, our defense in practice, being able to put him in one-on-one situations with linebackers and safeties, being able to watch him get better and better in the run game. That was the part that needed to be important for him. Just understanding the run game, knowing when to be slow, when to be fast, and he capitalized on it, being able to go out there and go against our defense on scout team. So then what you saw, I wasn't surprised at all.
Shout out to my guy Philly Fresh, who always calls Boston Scott a bowling ball, small and hard to bring down. Duce sees it too. Now, this guy's going to be a great change-it-up kind of guy who can still run between the tackles. Again, you got a guy behind Miles who's very inexperienced, just like Greg Ward, got brought off the practice squad. This guy used to be on the New Orleans Saints practice squad. Well, sorry, New Orleans, because we do have something in Boston Scott. However, I believe Boston Scott is going to be able to complement Miles Sanders, and depending on how many rushes Miles Sanders gets, I want to see how they mix and match these guys. It's no thunder and lightning, but they both can run between the tackles. A lot of people think that Boston Scott and Miles Sanders can't really run on them 3rd and 2s and stuff like that. That's why my Miles Sanders highlight reel was really not none of his explosive plays, because we know he can do that. But I wanted to open people's mind on his 2nd and 2s, 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 1s. Both these guys can get it. Miles Sanders really can, but Boston Scott is going to contribute out the backfield as a receiver, as a running back, and I believe these twos can get it done. But don't forget, we will keep 3 or 4 running backs on this team. One of these guys might not get much playing time because there are insurance policies. But let's get to the next guy. We're going to go in order of the depth chart for now, and we're going to rock with Corey Clement, who I was not happy when we signed him. But if we can get a Super Bowl 52 2017 Corey Clement, then it's worth it for the price and the position. But I don't know if he can get back there. The last couple injuries have been bad, but let's hear what Duce says.
Man, he got his ears pinned back. He's ready. He looks awesome. You can tell he's been working. He want to get back to the old Corey. And the old Corey, basically, you just touched on it. If you go back and you remember that first play on special teams, he goes down there and he knocks the fire out of the kid. He gets up, he has the crowd into it, plays with a lot of energy, played special teams with that energy, and practiced that way also. So when you just talk about Corey, he brought that energy to offense. So you go back, that's when Darren Sproles goes down. We didn't miss a beat. We put Corey in there, and we kept going.
He's saying he's working. He's saying he's working. Now, I'm not going to have much to say on this because I do believe in 2017 I liked what Corey Clement brought. He brought energy. He brought fire. He just started from the bottom. Now he's here type thing, And I do respect that. I really respect that when a guy can show his worth and get it done. But I'm not sure if he's going to be a guy who's going to contribute over a guy like Miles Sanders or Boston Scott. And when I say over, not over, but why would I want to take these guys off the field to put Corey Clement on the field, especially if he's still hampering around with an injury? Now, again, I would love him to be 100%, but I got to see it to believe it. So that's where I'm at with Corey Clement. But the running back room is young, and Duce even said it. But a guy like Miles Sanders, the development of Miles Sanders makes me less worried to have a veteran because I believe he's really good up here and he's going to transition into that top 10 back. And I keep bringing Miles Sanders up in everybody's else's segment because he's the guy. He will be the guy. Now, we're going to see stuff from a Boston Scott, a Corey Clement, and the next 2 guys, one of these guys will be on the running back roster, I believe. We will see them. We might see them on special teams and stuff like that as well. And hopefully, Miles Sanders there all 16 games. But we got to take everything into consideration, especially with coronavirus. Maybe Miles Sanders catches it and he has to miss a game or two. That's going to be the scary part for all the positions. But let's get to the next guy. Now, I'm not saying this guy is over this. We'll talk about it at the end. But let's look at a guy like Adrian Killins, still a fan favorite.
Yeah, Adrian Killins, starting with him. If you go back and watch the highlight film, man, he's explosive. He's explosive. When you go back and just watch him, some of his long runs. One of the things, of course, is his size. His size, play a factor. But I strongly believe if you're small and special, you got to be both. If you're small, you got to be special. And if you are both, boom, you have a chance. So you just can't be small and not special. Usually those guys don't make it. Well, I put him in that category of being small and special. And his highlight films and some of the things he did.
You heard what he said about his size. Adrian Killins is a small guy. He's not going to be able to take the NFL beating. Now, some people have been commenting on previous videos saying he moved up to 185, 184, 180 something. That is better than his 164 he was in college or something along them lines. He has to get bigger. But you did hear what Duce said. Small and special, you still might be able to work something with them. When I did my Adrian Killins video a while back, I pretty much said, I don't need him to be a running back. I don't need him to be any position. Just find a roster spot for him. Don't call him nothing and use him as that gadget guy. Maybe run him on a draw. Run him on the screen, run him out the slot, run him out the backfield, run one or two plays with him, let him punt return, just mix and match. There could be games where we're winning by a lot, no need to put the little man in, let him rest. But when we need that special play, that one handoff that can go 60 for a touchdown, throw him in there once or twice. That's the way I think we can use him, and I'm not sure. But the way Duce spoke about him, we got to wait and see. I do believe it's an uphill battle for him because there's no preseason. You don't get to see a punt return go 108 yards and everybody's like, wow, he can really do it in the pros. We're going to miss that. So I hope that's not the reason why we end up letting a guy like him go and he goes over there and next know we watching ESPN and he's returning punts for somebody else. I don't know. Shout out to Be More Philly. He's going to hit me up and say he's not going to be on the team. We'll talk about it then. And last but not least, Michael Warren Jr., a.k.a. The Truck. Duce likes this guy. I think he sees a little bit of him in Michael Warren.
Michael Warren coming out of Cincinnati, man, I love this kid film. And I watched him. I went back a year ago. And watched the kid, had a chance to study the kid and see what type of runner he was. Now, he may be a little bigger than some of the backs we have, but I tell you, his feet, man, are maybe nicer than some of the backs we have. So he may look like a bowling ball. He can run you over, but he can also make you miss.
Like I said, I believe Duce Staley sees a little bit of himself in Michael Warren Jr. Our arm tackle is not going to get him down. And he can run through college talent. It's going to be different in the NFL, but he's a bulldozer, a.k.a. The Truck. Don't come for no reason. But one thing that is so underrated with this guy, and something I don't believe Holyfield could do, and I'm not saying Holyfield is not going to be on the team, but after watching more, I'm more of a Michael Warren Jr. guy. This guy's footwork is nimble. He makes people miss. He's not only going to run through you, so as a defender, you have to square up and be ready to take the hit, and then he jukes you. You're like, what? Or are you ready to take the juke, and he runs you over? He can do a lot of different things. Now, we got to see it at the pro level, but I do like him. His height being only 5'9", yeah, but it is what it is. With all that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Talk about all five, just Miles Sanders, Adrian Killins, Michael Warren, Boston Scott. Let me know what you think about the running back situation. Until next time, you know what time it is. We out.